We don't always get to do these to get together to do verbal money, but when Sean Strickland is your new UFC middleweight champion, we got to throw up the VM bat signal and get the gang together for a State of the Union broadcast to talk about this. So we've gathered everyone up. We've made a tier list of UFC upsets we'll get into in a bit, but we need to talk about Sean Strickland outstriking one of the best kickboxers MMA has ever seen. Because, wow, I was sneakily surprised, like excited for this fight. I just kept thinking about it the whole week. However, Sean Strickland winning 4 rounds against Israel Adesanya is not something that ever popped into my brain. And even just saying that out loud is absolutely insane. I am really interested to get Corley's take on this because I do not know, as always, where you are going to go with this. But what did you think of Sean Strickland becoming the middleweight champion?
Well, I found out at like 7 in the morning after my child was jumping on me because I just passed out, and I was wondering.
Big Sean Strickland fan, Corley's child.
By the sounds of it, definitely, because I was stunned. I didn't know if someone had smuggled acid into my cup of tea late at night and I was tripping, or whether I was dead in alternate reality. Because I just wasn't going to happen, was it? And it did happen, and he looked good doing it, which is even worse, man. It's even worse, like. But I did put a $5 on him to win because the odds were too good, so. But yeah, fucking madness, innit? Absolute fucking madness. Especially that video where he's like just going all like that and shit. Fucking ruthless. So yeah, mad.
I think that I'm not going to talk about Sean Strickland, the human being, because it's not a conversation we need to have, right? But
no, there are plenty more standard verbal money episodes where we can rip him to shreds.
Yeah, we've insulted far better people in the past. Like, we don't need to sit around and talk about Sean Strickland. But like, I as a fighter, don't get me wrong, he's not the most exciting fighter to watch. But I find Sean Strickland so interesting to watch because of how limited his skill set is, but how effective he is with it. Like, Jake, as the hot take person in this group, did the performance make you appreciate Sean Strickland any more than you did before?
Definitely, because it takes a special kind of person to become a UFC champion, especially against the striker, the caliber of striker that Israel Adesanya is. But while I was watching it, it was like probably 20% puzzled and baffled, but 80% laughing for the whole fight. I actually haven't laughed as hard watching a fight than when Strickland knocked down Adesanya, because it was just comical. Like, it was such an abstract idea that Sean Strickland was gonna drop Israel Adesanya. Steve left. Steve can't handle it. Steve just can't handle the thought of Sean Strickland being the middleweight champion, but he is. Yeah, technically, I didn't know what to make of that fight. I was laughing for most of it because Strickland is, I mean, the nice way of saying it, he's very unorthodox. And the Dan Hardy way of saying it is he's got a cocksucker guard. And, he beat Israel Adesanya, with a weird mix between a high guard, a kind of a weird Philly shell, and, I don't know, he raises his knee when he walks into exchanges. So what the fuck is that? It's so bizarre. But it worked. It worked so well. Adesanya had no answers for him. And I think there is something to be said for maybe Adesanya just didn't have an answer for that, and maybe he was lacking the coaching for Strickland's style. But regardless, Strickland looked better than everyone thought he would, and his game plan was way more effective than everyone thought it would be. So fair play to him. I just really can't wrap my head around it because Sean Strickland is a fucking world champion. Those words don't exist together. They shouldn't be in the same sentence.
Whilst I think the conversation we should be having is being white trash the new best base for MMA. Steve, how much do you put it down to a mix of both Sean looking better than we've probably ever seen him and Izzy looking worse? Like, how far, like, if that was a scale, where are you sitting on that? Like, I feel like most people are in the middle of it was both. But how far in each direction would you go?
There's definitely aspects of both, right? I mean, it was clearly Izzy's worst performance, and Izzy hasn't really hit those heights since the Costa fight, since the Whittaker fight for a while anyway, it feels like. So, I mean, something like this is almost par for the course for Izzy at this point, which is tough to say. But on the other hand, yeah, Strickland, he's not the best fighter, but he's a damn effective fighter, I think calling it a Philly shell is a bit insulting to the Philly shell, but yeah, both ways, absolutely. Izzy, not at his best, definitely an off night, but you can't take it away from Sean Strickland at all. He went in there, he beat the guy in front of him on the feet, which, I mean, if you said Sean was going to beat Izzy, you probably assume there was going to be some grappling in there. So, and now Jake's left.
Because you insulted his Philly shell analysis there, and now he's gone.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, on that again, there's definitely aspects of both, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, quickly on the Philly shell thing, I was listening to Dan and Veronica Hardy earlier talk about all the fights and stuff, and Veronica pointed out that just because you stand like this doesn't mean you're Floyd Mayweather, which I thought was pretty great. Corley, you don't stay up for UFC events at the best of times. Will a Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis fight be enough to get you to stay up?
Of course it will. Jesus Christ, of course it will. That is that card of the year, century perhaps. I don't know, but I to be honest, I was actually because I put it on and I thought, right, let's have a look. I was so shocked. Like, I think Izzy, like you said there, Steve, he's not looked the same for a while now, and I think he's a bit flawed in some of the things he's doing. But he just couldn't handle Strickland's pressure at all. That constant forward fighting, he didn't have nothing for him. I want to see it, man. I don't want to see an Izzy rematch yet. I think just let Izzy do what he's doing, put someone else in. He doesn't need one. Don't need a rematch. Has there ever been a 3-time middleweight champion? Like,
don't think so.
Let him do what he's doing. Move up. Don't move up. He doesn't have to. I'm just telling him to. Hint, hint. But nah. Is what it is. Love it though. It's a bit of carnage, isn't it? I commented saying, imagine if Sean wins, everyone's giving me shit on Instagram, and then the next morning I was like, ha ha ha, you ugly wankers. I couldn't wait to just bit of shit talk back. It was so satisfying.
I apologize for disappearing as well. My internet couldn't believe Sean Strickland was the middleweight champion and decided to give up on me. It's a real shame. I missed half of that conversation, but I presume it's what's next for Izzy and something like that.
No, you missed a discussion about Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. I was
fuck off!
I was praying you were going to come back before we finished talking.
Don't even make me think about that. It's like I was saying last night. It's just when Dricus beat Rob, or something happened this year that knocked the natural course of events out of the way. And now Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis is a middleweight title fight. It's probably the most middleweight title fight there's been in years, possibly of all time. But I don't fucking know, man. I'll watch it. It could be a bit of fun. But
it'll be a ball. Right. It's gonna be a ball. I can't wait.
Strickland is gonna fucking rip into du Plessis though. Yeah. He's gonna
yeah.
We may see the first ever 10-8 on the scorecards, but it's just filled with like really racist remarks and that kind of thing. Just proper Sean Strickland. But
I mean, I'm excited to see the build because for once there isn't a guy I want to win. Like they're both as unlikable as each other. So I don't go for it.
If you ever needed a gauge of how annoying Dricus du Plessis is, he just got called the same level as a former neo-Nazi. That is the levels we are talking about.
Whoa, tone me back a bit. Sean Strickland used to be a neo-Nazi.
Yeah,
you admitted it.
Oh my god!
This is ages ago as well.
What rock do I live under? Where do I actually live? I did not know this.
And this isn't like this is
even if you didn't know.
No, I knew he was a bit of a. I knew he was a prick. I just thought
you could have figured it out.
I thought he took the Colby method and just went a bit too far and was just unapologetic for it. That's what I thought. I thought he was going for that alpha male, I'm Andrew Tate, but in MMA. But no, he's actually a neo-Nazi.
Well, he used to be.
Former.
He
Former.
was.
Yeah.
He was.
No, but
Yeah,
then,
but what former? Why? Because if he got disbanded, he's still a fucking Nazi, man. Jesus Christ, you don't think Hitler wasn't now because he's dead? No. Jeez, man, I didn't know this.
you know, it's like it's on his
I wouldn't have
Wikipedia.
bet on him. I wouldn't have bet
Yeah,
on
it's not-
£5.
Yeah, it's literally on his Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's not like
Oh,
something like he said at a press
no.
conference and people are like, "Oh yeah, he's a neo-Nazi." It's like
Oh, I'm not fucking waiting.
there are
now,
like
one. Jesus
sources and
Christ.
citations where he's like, "Yeah, I used to be a Nazi, but then I started hanging out with
Oh.
black guys, and then everything was okay."
So basically, he was backwards and then hung around with black people and realised I'm backwards and is okay
Yeah.
now. Or
I
is he
still
still
don't
not?
like-
Expelled from high
I'm
school
on-
for a hate crime.
I'm uncomfortable, man.
Oh, gee, I actually didn't know that. Jesus.
That's on the Wikipedia too.
I
Yeah,
don't know any of this, man.
I would. If I was
Which
Chris
is-
Curtis, I'd be very careful. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to wake that up inside of him.
No, well, we need to actually go on this tier list, and I'd call you finding out Sean Strickland was a neo-Nazi because I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for that.
You know what?
Um,
You've profited off of a former neo-Nazi.
How have I profited?
Horrible.
I have as well. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I have.
This is your blood diamond money, my
Oh
friend.
my
you
god,
know.
I only won $750 back on top of me fighter. It wasn't even
Well,
worth it.
no one's winning any money off the actual blood diamond in the UFC, are they?
Oh, don't even
Oh
go
my
there.
god! Oh
Don't
my
even fucking
god!
go
I
there.
did an article on him for the website. It got really good views, and it still gets really good views. But the comments are just like how shit he is, and you can only delete so many comments.
Nah, you gotta leave the comments there.
I don't even think they show up anymore. To be fair, I'm sure I broke it somehow.
Didn't he get signed as a 3-0?
Yeah,
3-0,
like-
yeah.
I know that happens a lot where like a champion's like teammate will get signed because they talk a lot about them and stuff. But like, and he obviously had like a pretty extensive kickboxing career, but like a little bit more than 3 lads. Like,
Yeah. Put him
I feel
on,
like you're just setting him up to fail.
lad,
feel like
stick him on a fucking fight pass card, or like you know, like Anthony Pettit's FC or some shit, or like even like a really easy LFA fight.
Or this is literally what the Contender Series is for.
But I'm going to throw a spanner in, but we can't go too off topic. How can you sign Blood Diamond at 3-0 and not put Paul Hughes straight in the mix? What's your excuse for that? Like, do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. but
UFC is going to UFC, right? They signed Blood Diamond. You know what? They signed him at 3-0 when he was Blood Diamond, and now he's 3-3 Mike Mateta.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, also, this I get last thing before we move on. He actually went.
It's
He
really
still
good,
goes
like,
under Blood Diamond, and he was under Mike Diamond for a little while. And I saw someone being like, "Oh, Mike Diamond is back this week," and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny. That's a good piss take." And I checked the website, and he is actually Mike Diamond. That's not your fucking name. You're not. You can't just use your made up name, right?
He can
To be
if he wants.
fair,
His opponent
his opponent called himself Chuck Buffalo, but like, let's not talk
Oh,
about that.
don't even start on that fella. Article coming out, probably already out by the time that the podcast is out. Check it out. That's good shit.
I feel like enough time has passed to where we can mention this because I got told it in an interview that wasn't being recorded. But I feel like enough time's passed. And also, if you go on this person's Wikipedia, it says it. Alexa Grasso's real name isn't Alexa Grasso.
Oh
it's
shit!
Karen.
Yeah.
Karen.
Oh my god, it's Karen. What a
But
revelation!
it's literally. I found this out earlier. It's literally listed on her Wikipedia, so we're not ruining secrets here. But
Karen Grasso.
Karen.
I mean,
Karen
don't get
Grasso
wrong.
Fight Week.
At the same time, there is a bit of a jump from Alexa to Blood Diamond, but you know, you don't have to use your real name, I guess.
Okay, look, I'm allowing people
Unless
to
your
use...
last name's Hardy. There you go, full circle.
Oh, nice. No, I will allow people to use other names that are real names. Blood Diamond is not a real name. It's a fiction. It's a fantasy. It's a lie. Nation.
It's a fiction. It's a fantasy. It's a lie. Needs to be on like a book about the history of the UFC.
That's the episode name. That's the episode name. Oh, I love
Do you know what? I'm really.
Can we
I'm really
clip
upset
that and
now.
have it as a sound effect? Oh.
Oh my god!
I'm really upset now because if that does gain traction, people are going to realize that I stole it off someone. But they're going to have to find out who I stole it off.
funny that, Jake. That's funny that. Oh.
So I'm all for like, I want to. What did I even say about Hernandez and the standing knife? Something like that. I'm all for putting that on t-shirts, but like it has to be my own quote. I'm not going to steal other people's and then cash in on it. So
say what you want about Jake's threats, but at least they come from the heart. They're straight up. They're straight up.
I feel like we should make a montage and post it, like
threats.
Jake threatening fighters.
Yeah, we should do that at the end of the year. We should get all the clips from this year and post them out. But have a special TikTok clip of me threatening fighters. Just generally talking.
End of the year, we'll do a top 10 moments countdown.
Number one, Steve's camera when it did that weird thing.
Number 2, Alex Hernandez with the standing knife.
Quite a substantial jump up, but are we doing tier lists?
I was going to say, speaking of lists, what about this little tier we've got going on?
Are we done with Strickland?
Well, there's not much to talk about. It's a neo-Nazi now, Steve. I might delete the first 15 minutes of this episode.
I did really.
I can't believe I didn't know that. I'm disgusted in myself.
That did really derail any sense of praise we were giving him.
I know. I don't even like him now. I'm going to unsubscribe from his YouTube channel. I never was.
Okay, good. Actually, the first question I have is: Sean Strickland has a YouTube channel? What
I don't know.
On there?
I was just chatting the.
He knows how YouTube works.
He literally said in the press conference he doesn't know how to write. There's no way he knows what YouTube is.
I'm all for not judging people for adult illiteracy, but that's fucking funny. I don't care. Oh, fuck that, man. Fuck that.
57 was the best with Floyd Mayweather.
Who can't write his own name. It's fine. Look,
maybe that's the best base for boxing, not being able to read or write.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, Sean Strickland, both masters of the Philly shell. Unbelievable.
That post from ESPN where it's like the Philly shell has officially reached MMA and a side-by-side of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Sean Strickland. Oh, man.
iCarly photos forever, man. iCarly stance is the one.
The man from the iCarly meme is the champion. The world.
It's crazy, man.
Anyway, do you want to start the tier list? But we'll start with...
You ready for this tier list?
Yeah. Where do we put Strickland on it?
We'll start with Strickland because then that can act as kind of the gauge for where everything else comes in.
And then anyone else who's not interested in Strickland stuff can fuck off after the episode. If people just came here for Strickland, they can get their Strickland, then they can leave.
I'm actually putting a disclaimer at the start of the episode saying Sean Strickland was a former neo-Nazi and we do not condone any victories ever had or will have in the UFC.
We condone all 27 victories of his
We condone nothing. Nothing.
No, you condone everything. You don't support anything. You just said you don't condone. You said you don't condone anything, which means
I'm digging a hole. Fuck him. Fuck him. With heavy edits on this episode.
Yeah. So Kyle, do you want to introduce this while I get it up?
Yeah, sure. As the description on the tier list reads, with Sean Strickland, you got the rest because I feel like I don't need to explain it too much. I think that Strickland versus Izzy, I have a weird viewpoint on Izzy and Strickland because, as I said, I've been thinking about this fight for like the last 2 weeks and racking my brain around the idea that Sean Strickland might be able to go out there and beat Israel Adesanya despite not being half as good as a martial artist. So I've thought about this loads. So to me, when it happened, I was surprised to see him outstrike Adesanya for 4 rounds, of course, and to drop him and all of that stuff, and for Izzy to not have that many moments. But I don't know. I had been bouncing the idea around in my head of Strickland winning for so long that like it didn't feel as crazy when I was watching it. It was crazy watching everyone else's reaction, and then I was like, oh god, yeah, that really is mental. Like what a strange world we live. And watching the post-fight press conference where he's like admitting that he killed a dog once and stuff.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Don't these things.
Just add on more.
He did explain the story because it was right after they said about Izzy's dog and stuff like that, and how he'd offended Izzy by talking about Izzy's dead dog, and then he was like, "Well, I have killed a dog," and then was like, "Wait, let me clarify." So, anyway, Strickland stories for another time.
I'm pulling this off. I need to get the faces back on for this story.
I can, all right, let me give you the bullet point version. Someone asked him what Izzy said to him in the cage, and he said that Izzy got offended about him talking about his dog, and Sean was like, "Grow up, it's a dog." And they were like, "Well, his dog died and he has a tattoo of it." And he was like, "I killed a dog once." And then they moved on because they were like, "Oh, Jesus." And then he was like, "I should clarify this before I get loads of hate. It was a rabid wild dog that was attacking my dog and I shot it," and whatever. Sean Strickland stories. I don't even remember how we got to this dog part. Oh, the press conference. I think that the most surprising thing about Sean Strickland winning, I think this is something you have to take into account when you look at the most surprising upsets, is you have to look at who they beat in the division. And this surprised me when I was writing stuff about this fight, of like, how many top middleweights would you consider Sean Strickland having beaten? Because he hasn't beaten Chimaev, who is kind of, he's in and out of the division, so that's fair enough. But Paulo Costa, Dricus, whether you like it or not, Robert Whittaker, he hasn't beaten Vettori, he hasn't beaten Cannonier, he obviously lost to Cannonier, he got beaten by Alex Pereira. Like, his best win in the division is probably
Uriah Hall.
I was going to say Brendan Allen.
I was going to say Brendan Allen.
It could be Brendan Allen. Oh, shit, that's
it's aged quite well, the Brendan Allen one, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, on paper it's probably
if we're going off on tangents about piece of shit people, Brendan Allen would be a great one to do sometime.
Well, I guess we'll get to that at some point. Brendan Allen also said that he heard
we can get to that when Paul
can
Craig
out-wrestle
rips his arm
Ankalaev.
off.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we're supporting Paul Craig. Then I don't feel so bad. At least we're rooting for Paul Craig at the same time.
Paul Craig wins that fight, then he can fight Sean. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow. What a world that'll be.
Could you imagine
I hope it
Paul
happens.
Craig submitting Sean Strickland for the title next year? Perfect. Right.
Yeah,
there.
that's, you know what that is? That's middleweight. That's
very middleweight.
That is middleweight. So if you want to pull up the tier list again, Steve, it goes S, then A, then B, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. S for like
super
top shit.
S is the very top. I don't think this is an S tier. I would put it in A, and like the way we'll do it is like the bigger upset it is, the more to the left of the category it is. If that makes sense. So I think Strickland in at A makes a lot of sense.
I was thinking A for this one too. I'll be honest, but Jake.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I ran through it myself earlier just to see where I was sitting on it, and I put it in A. And it's kind of like Kyle said, when it happened, I didn't think of it as a massive upset. I was too busy, pissing myself laughing about it. But then I saw everyone else's reaction, and I realized, yeah, that is one of the biggest upsets in title fight history and in UFC history. So I would say A, but I would also advocate to change the names of the tiers. Like top shit, holy fuck, Jesus, I wasn't expecting that. Stuff like that. Just so it's a bit more us. But
can I do that? I can do that. What do you want the top ones to be?
Top shit. That's top shit.
Okay, how do I save this? Am I saved? There we go.
Top shit.
I feel like A should be emergency podcast.
Yeah.
Emergency podcast. If we ever get a top shit one, we need to do a podcast the day after. Like we need to go in there on Sunday and get it done. Or I don't know, pull up a live stream at fucking 6:00 in the morning.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Emergency podcast.
We really should have done this before we started.
Yeah, but fuck it. It's fine. Anyone who watches Verbal Money doesn't value
planning.
the absolute timing of Jake saying that and then cutting off is incredible.
I'm looking at the tier list. I didn't even know it had gone.
Oh yeah. He's completely frozen.
Perfect.
D, I think the bottom one should be overestimated. Like, is it
Yeah.
really an upset?
Okay. Because I see I figured out which one you're thinking of. I got to type it like Sean Strickland.
Well, slow down there, Steve.
Overestimated.
Oh, he's back.
I'm back.
There he is.
Sorry, I was thinking again about Sean Strickland, and it really caused things to go off the rails.
Okay.
Give me a name for
I'm still here, by the way. I'm still here, but I'm putting my laptop on charge because it's dying. Because I'm running my light and my camera off my laptop, and it's very draining.
Yeah. Names for B and C.
I think
feel-
B could be Jesus, and C. Ooh, fuck. You know,
Can we put?
no, you hear a result you weren't expecting. Oh fuck!
Can we put B? I love it. It's just all Jake's reactions. What he says.
Yeah.
Can we put B as Paul Hughes? Because I feel like it's the same as Paul Hughes not being in the UFC. You're like, damn, that is surprising. But you're not like I'm going to go and tweet about this every single day, unless. I don't know if Jake does that. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
No.
If he does, Steve doesn't see it. So
I
Don't
mean,
tweet
there
that
are people who do. There are people who do.
I might start a little coalition with the rest of the Irish lads that every day we should tweet about Paul Hughes and how he's not in the UFC.
You're going to become one of those accounts that's like posting a picture of Paul Hughes every day until he's in the UFC.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
I'm in favor.
I was going to make another joke then, but I really can't. I'm going to type it in the chat.
I can't see the chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't be saying that,
Every
man.
day retweeting everything
that.
like, oh, terrible.
Can't be saying that, man. It's confidential stuff.
Fucking VIP shit that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready to
Yeah,
go back on?
I think he's an emergency podcast, isn't he? Fucking Sean Strickland, the Eno.
Yeah.
But who?
He's an emergency podcast. We don't have a name for C.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was actually gonna say, what's the other name for C though?
Who, like, you know what? Michael Johnson. You know how Michael Johnson wins the fights that he's not meant to win, and he loses all the ones he should. I think we can.
And you look at the results, or when the decision gets made, and you go, "Wow, did you look at that, Michael Johnson?"
Yeah, Michael Johnson won. That was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how
Very
Michael
good
Johnson
point.
wins? Everyone goes, "Oh, Michael Johnson won." Did he? Fair play to him.
Man,
Do you know, like it's quite a surprise.
the screenshot of those categories, like if for some reason you're not listening, that is the most confusing. Like you would have no clue what we're talking about from those categories.
Okay, so
considering this is the Verbal Money Emergency Podcast, Sean Strickland first in makes perfect sense. Also, side note, there are 2 Sean Stricklands at the bottom for people who are keen enough to notice that. I couldn't delete it. So 2 Stricklands.
You know what?
Stricklands is what we're
the
doing.
other Strickland in top shit, just so we can balance it out. You know, because it could be top shit. You know, it goes.
I don't think.
If he then goes and gets stopped by Dricus 2+C, there's an argument for it going into the top bracket.
Okay.
But don't bother with the other Sean. Nobody needs 2 Sean Stricklands. We already have 2 Sean UFC champions. We'll just leave him there.
I tell you what,
guys just want to go in the order.
If Colby beats Leon, that's top shit. That's top shit.
I don't think it. As much as
I don't think that's that much of an upset.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that fight might be quite close.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm hating on Colby. Okay, maybe it's not too shit, but like.
Okay.
Instead of going in order, actually, let's get as Corley is the next person down on the row for me on here. Corley, you pick one.
Oh, wait there. Let me get a close look on this picture because my My detached retina won't let me see that far, that small.
Incredible camera angle.
You know what?
We have here.
Oh. Do you know what? Let's talk about Cody, man. Cody and Cruz, that was fucking mad. He was fucking doing all this. Fucking sick fight that. A fucking well good fight that. To be fair, I think that. Oh no, is it top shit now? I wanted to say it was top shit. I don't think it is now.
I don't think it's top shit.
Steve, you're not top shit either.
Do you want me to be honest? Do you want me to tell you where I think this is going?
I think this is a Paul Hughes, to be honest.
I think this is Michael Johnson.
Oh, stop being so negative, Steve.
I won't go that far.
I am actually kind of between Paul Hughes and Michael Johnson right now.
That's
such a weird sentence to say.
I'm going to make the same case
that
I made for Strickland, right? Cody Garbrandt, before that title fight, beat Thomas Almeida and somebody else, Mizugaki, and then beat Dominic Cruz. Like that's a jump.
Not even beat Dominic Cruz.
There was a lot of hype on Cody, though.
But he absolutely styled him, man. He didn't just go in and do what Cody does.
No,
he looked like Muhammad Ali. He looked like fucking Muhammad Ali in his prime.
He had 2 good rounds. That fight was 3 rounds to 2, and I'm tired of pretending that it wasn't.
No, Jake.
I think that is the hottest take you have ever had, Jake.
That is.
Dominic Cruz loses nearly every minute of that fight.
I think he does, honestly. I think
maybe not.
It was 48-46. Maybe 48. I don't know. I haven't seen the fight in years. I watched it once.
He did this
without crying.
And a fucking robot in the middle of the cage during a fight. He was.
Yeah, that's impressive. Look, okay, it's not Michael Johnson. I think Steve maybe overstepped it there. I think it's Paul Hughes.
I'd even take it as a second step of a Paul Hughes. You know what I mean? Not right to the left, but he's a Paul Hughes.
Especially considering Cruz had only lost 1 fight, and he hadn't lost in like 9 or 10 years. I think it is a very good upset. So
I'm okay with putting it on Paul Hughes.
Yeah, Paul Hughes. I apologize. I apologize to Cody Garbrandt for suggesting that we put him in Michael Johnson.
Can't believe it. The scandal.
Also, it just felt really weird saying, yeah, I'm just kind of stuck between Paul Hughes and Michael Johnson right now. It's just there's no context in which that should ever make sense. But no, I would say Paul Hughes.
Sounds like the middle of the featherweight division in the rankings. So Paul Hughes.
Paul Hughes, that man, son.
Cool.
All right, Jake, which one do you want to pick?
I'm gonna go with one that most people don't talk about, and I don't know why. I'm gonna say Pena versus Nunes, and I'm gonna say that's top shit.
Nobody expected that, to be honest. Campbell McLaren did, though. Shout out Campbell. He knew it from day one.
If Campbell McLaren gets a prediction right, it's immediately top shit.
Yeah, it's top shit, bro. No, I would say that's top shit because, like, who picked her?
No one.
Nunes.
The way she did it as well, like outboxing her on the feet, like.
And I know, like, people don't really like praise that fight because it was very sloppy. But at the end of the day, she won. She finished Amanda Nunes. I think it has to be top shit. That personally is the greatest upset of all time for me because I was in a state of shock like no other after Pena won that fight. But
I think it's up there.
Yeah, I think it has to be up there at least.
It's definitely top shit. I'd take that as top shit.
Top shit.
I think it's top shit.
Yeah, because if we were doing verbal money back then, that would have been the main talking point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's hard, isn't it, in MMA? Like, because so many events come before it and so much happens in between, you forget the actual initial impact of what things, like, how they were on the scene, weren't they? Do you know what I mean?
That's what Twitter is for. It's to remind you of how fucking hyped you were that Michael Johnson won a fight.
Michael Johnson. I miss
if
Michael
there was
Johnson.
ever any argument for it not being one of the biggest upsets in UFC history, the female GOAT literally left the UFC to avoid a trilogy fight with Juliana Pena. That's how big an upset it was. So she ducked Pena. Like, how is that not top tier?
She compared herself to Anderson Silva, which is never okay. You know, if Amanda Nunes compares herself to Anderson Silva, you should shout at her. You know, you should boo her audibly during her retirement speech. Man, I fucking hate Juliana Pena. I used to like her, to be fair. I used to be on her side, like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago after she beat Kat Zingano. I thought she was going to go on a title run. She didn't. Then she did. She won. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, a really big underdog story. I can get behind this. And she was just a complete bellend thereafter. So, fuck her. Still, though, I have to admit, that is top shit.
Yeah.
I think that is the standard against which all top shit can be measured.
Mm-hmm.
All agree?
Yeah.
Aye.
All right, Steve, which one are you picking?
I'm going to go back in time for this one. I'm going to go for Frankie Edgar beating BJ Penn.
Oh.
We talk about the run that Strickland had to the title fight, right? Who knows who Frankie Edgar fought before he fought with BJ Penn?
Tyson Griffin, maybe.
Nope.
Shit.
Matt
No,
Veek,
who?
a man who had 3 fights in the UFC. He beat Matt Grice. He lost to Frankie Edgar. And then he lost to Telly's Paul Kelly.
Damn.
Who else had Frankie?
Edgar was on a run. He beat Shirk. He beat Hermes Franca. He beat Spencer Fisher. He beat Tyson Griffin. He beat Jim Miller.
Those are decent wins, though. I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah, his only loss in the
Griffin
UFC
as well. He's a sneaky one.
Was to Gray Maynard, his only loss before the title fight.
Yeah.
And he beat BJ. Not only did he beat BJ Penn, beat him again. Then there was the Gray Maynard second fight and third fight, and then what?
He beat BJ for a third time.
Twice. Yeah, well, 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, it's just that no one really likes to talk about that third fight because of BJ Penn and his.
Yeah, I'm not including that fight in my reasoning, but I mean the odds were. It was about a plus 600. It was wider odds than Strickland was. It was wider odds than I think a lot of what we're talking about. So I think if verbal money was a thing when this fight happened, we would be making an emergency podcast.
I'm going to say emergency podcast.
I would second an emergency podcast, to be honest. I definitely would.
Yeah.
Hold on. When did the first Penn Edgar fight happen?
So I can get the date for you 1 second.
I'm gonna guess 2010.
2010. It was 112. So it was on the
Abu Dhabi.
It was Abu Dhabi. It was Anderson Silva, Damian Maya. And
I was thinking because like I get confused with the dates when it comes to BJ Penn. Sometimes I was gonna, like Steve said, if verbal money happened back then, and I was gonna say I don't think I was alive when that fight happened. I was, thankfully, but if we were to go back a little bit further on the likes of Couture and Sylvia, I don't think I was alive when that fight happened. There's a strong
2012, 2010. There was Matt Hughes and Renzo Gracie also on that card. It was also Rafael dos Anjos versus Terry Etim. So
poor Terry Etim. He got such a hard run of it, didn't he?
Yeah, poor guy.
Who else we got on this?
But yeah, this is a huge upset that isn't talked about nowadays because there's been a lot more. But back in the day, when this happened, this was a really big deal. So
I don't think you can put it over Strickland though because of the wins Edgar had. So I think it goes to the right.
Yeah, I bring up the win directly before, but I mean
irony there.
Yeah, Strickland.
We're not talking anymore about Strickland and the right. Let's carry on.
Yeah. Okay.
Put Frankie in.
Sorry, I've only just coughed that now.
I realized it and then was like, I don't want to talk about this. Actually, we're done.
I mean, is Strickland on the left or the right?
Well, he's on the right.
For the first time in his life, he is on the left.
Okay, and Frankie is on the right, like usual.
That was a good one.
Right. Which one do I want to pick?
Yes, right.
Let's go for Man, they are so difficult to see with them being so small. Let's go for Michael Bisping versus Luke Rockhold at UFC 199. I mean, look, everyone from the UK loves Michael Bisping, and at the time, I mean, I think most people had this opinion, so it's not just me that looks like an idiot now. But I thought Luke Rockhold was going to reign as middleweight champion for quite some time. I thought he was considerably better than the rest of the division, apart from maybe Yoel Romero was the only one that I thought would cause some serious issues. But even then, I don't know. Bisping, of course, had a pretty good run of it, but is he the only person on this list that was late notice?
I think
Strickland was only about a month.
Yeah, true, but he is also
No,
like
as in, like,
literally
took the
sparring
fight.
all the time.
Took the fight as a replacement, I think.
I believe he is.
Yeah, I think so. I think that puts him a fair bit higher than the win alone. The question for me is whether it pushes past emergency podcast and goes any further, because I think it's at least emergency podcast. I mean, obviously for us as UK fans, it's literally the biggest moment ever up until a couple of years ago. But that I feel like, trying not to be subjective as huge Michael Bisping fans, it's like,
I don't know. I honestly think that might be top shit, especially considering Rockhold beat Bisping so easily just like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was. I would say that's top shit. Like, that is, honestly, I went fucking mental when I watched that live. Yeah, no one expected Bisping.
I think I think that's hurt by the fact that it was so obvious that Rockhold wasn't taking him seriously.
Yeah.
I think if anything that hurts it and pulls it down a bit.
I don't know. I'm gonna put in a vote for top shit, but I'm willing to hear people's
I
opinion.
think top of emergency podcast over Strickland. If Strickland had stopped Izzy in the first round when he dropped him, then you got a serious conversation. And obviously, Izzy has had a really impressive run in the middleweight division, whereas Rockhold, it kind of felt like was starting like his peak. So I would put it above Strickland for the fact that he finished him in the first round, and Bisping wasn't known as a particularly hard puncher. Of course, as Steve said, the counterpoint to that is Luke Rockhold leaves his chin really high up in the air and was just not taking the fight seriously. But I think top of emergency podcast, that goes.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Yeah, all right, I'm on board.
Oh.
Okay, Corley, hit us with another one.
Who am I next with? Oh, let me look. Oh, is that who I think it is on there? Sorry. Yeah, it is.
Who do you think it is?
Holly Holm and Rousey. Oh, because for me, at the time, I remember like all me and my mates were doing watching Ronda Rousey snap people's arm bars on highlight reels because it was just unreal. She was an absolute phenom. And when Holly Holm kicked her fucking head off, not only kicked her head off, she kicked her ego, she kicked the spirit and soul out of her, she kicked every ounce of respect she had for herself out of her with the head kick that was heard around the world, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, gentlemen, there's no ladies here. I think that's top shit. I really do. That was top fucking shit. How she just styled who was literally the greatest at the time. She was the GOAT and she got slayed. She wasn't the GOAT. Cyborg was still about. I'm sorry, I'll check myself. But you know what I'm saying.
Nah, like I think
disagree.
there's a good point to be made that it does deserve to be in top shit. But I did see some people saying that there were a lot of people predicting Holm to win that fight because they started to realize Rousey's striking wasn't all it was made out to be. And Holm was very decorated as a striker.
But look how many decorated strikers she smashed. I've said this without checking. Let me check. You guys just chat amongst yourselves.
Name one.
Yeah, name one.
I'm going through now. Before,
I don't make that argument.
The decorated striker, Betchka Haya.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Sarah McMahon. I mean, come on. I'm not taking anything.
Yeah, a wrestler.
Do you know what I mean? No. Edian Gomez.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
I
I'll
can't-
take that back. I'll take that back. But she's got good names. She's got better names than Home did before they fought. I've said that. I'm double checking myself now. Yeah,
I
I do
definitely
think
have.
that this one's hurt by time a lot, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that's fair at the same time, because to see like
And-
one of the biggest stars ever taken out like that, and like it wasn't even close, like she looked completely out of
Yeah.
her depth.
And
I
look
get
who
that there were people picking Home, but like I don't think
No
anyone
one
predicted that it
expected
would be
Home
that
to
Nah.
embarrass Rousey.
Look who Home fought when she signed at the UFC. She had a split decision over Pennington. She had a unanimous decision over an out, and then she knocks the fuck out of Rousey in round 2. Like, that's a UFC run before she won the title.
That's a good argument, to be fair.
I think
Mad.
it's either bottom of top shit, like below Pena,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
the top of emergency podcast.
I think in hindsight, the odds should not have been what they were, but I mean, in the moment, it was massive.
Steve, in hindsight, none of these odds should have been what they were. All of these people
I mean,
lost.
that is kind of the point. You're right, but especially this one.
I
Yeah.
think that if you take public perception, like not people that watch the UFC every week, but public perception of the UFC and Ronda Rousey, I think that this is a top shit one. But I don't think it goes as high as
No.
Nunes.
No,
Not when
because
Nunes
Nunes
solidified
is
herself as she did. You can't.
yeah. The
Nah.
Nunes thing was like a foregone conclusion. It was yeah. But
I'll
like
see
as you know,
I'd love to see anyone's betting slip still for anyone that bet Pena to be Nunes, who wasn't taking the piss and just thought, I'll put a $5 on for a joke. Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
would say below Pena in top shit.
Ditto.
Agreed.
So where are we saying? Sorry, I can't even see which one. Where am I looking? Home.
Second, I think.
Oh, home, yeah.
Yeah.
Home.
Where are we
Top.
going?
Top, but to the side, yeah.
Cool.
Jake, which one?
I'm gonna take something and I'm gonna stick it down a bit so I can fill out some of the lower ones. I'm gonna pick Alexa Grasso and I'm gonna put her in Paul Hughes below Garbrandt, is what I would say, because Shevchenko was predicted to win that fight, but I did see a lot of people picking Grasso, and the mystique of Shevchenko's invulnerability was shattered by Tyler Santos, and people realized maybe there were some problems with Shevchenko's grappling, and they, a lot of people felt like Grasso might be able to do something. I thought those people were insane, but yeah, I would say that's Paul Hughes, but below Garbrandt.
I agree. You know what's crazy? As soon as you said that, I was about to argue with you and be like, I don't know. And then you pointed out about the kind of mystique around Shevchenko disappearing, and then I remembered that literally both me and Steve predicted her to lose the title this year.
Yeah.
Like, why am I arguing for Shevchenko?
Yeah.
Like, what? So, yeah, I completely agree. I think that in the moment it was like, it's at least Paul Hughes because of the moment of like she just got submitted. That's crazy. But as you said, when you think of it back of like, all right, maybe if we took a step back and looked at the Santos fight,
it wouldn't have been so crazy, you know. It still really big moment though. Like it was awesome. But I would put it below Garbrandt just because I felt like a lot of people felt like Shevchenko was kind of on the downturn after.
I think there might be an argument for it being higher than Garbrandt just because of the title reign that Shevchenko, like, even though she didn't look great against Santos, we had seen, whereas like Cruz had come back and he had looked okay, and then the TJ fight was really close. I mean, he still did beat TJ Dillashaw, which is crazy, but like it was close. Maybe there's an argument for it being above.
No, there is an argument for sure. There is, and I was debating whether or not. Yeah, you could go above Cody. Yeah, because at the end of the day, Shevchenko was still an incredibly dominant champion, more dominant than like 99% of champions will ever be. And there weren't all that many people picking Grasso to win the fight. So yeah, I'd be okay with her above Garbrandt and Cruz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Above Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it lets me,
Mhm.
why isn't it?
Do you have to put it? Do you have to remove Garbrandt first?
Yeah.
Oh, let's move on to that. Congratulations, Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso, you are now Paul Hughes.
Quickly on this, what do we think for the weekend?
Shevchenko.
I really haven't thought about it so much because I've been consumed by the Sean Strickland stuff. Ooh, that's tough.
Grasso is going to defend.
I'd love to see Grasso win it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Grasso win it, but I feel like Shevchenko is going to come back and put on a really, really dull fight and win.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Jake.
Yeah,
We're gonna.
I think so.
She's gonna get smoked. She's gonna get.
And then Aaron Blanchfield's going to beat her in the next fight anyway. Before the end of the year.
God, yeah. I can't wait for Aaron Blanchfield to get a shot. To be fair.
Oh wait, no, hold on. I'm rooting against Aaron Blanchfield because I think I predicted Shevchenko to keep her title. So, or no, to end the year as champion. And that counts.
We are literally living in a moment in time where Sean O'Malley and Sean Strickland are UFC champions. So our predictions are bust at this point. I feel like
they're long gone, lad.
Yeah,
gone now.
Jake picking Valentina at the start of the year to end the year as champion. If she beats Grasso, that's a hell of a way to do it.
Yeah. I don't even remember my other picks. There's probably going to be some really fucking stupid ones in there. I think I picked Cyril Gane to be heavyweight champion. Boy, that did not age well.
Okay, where we
at? Your pick.
Okay, I am a little bit on the fence on this one, but I'm going to pick it because it's one I was in the building for. It's on the poster that's right behind me right now. That is Henry Cejudo defeating Demetrius Johnson. And I'm not sure where to go. And I know we should be picking somewhere, but I want to... Is it Paul Hughes? Is it Michael Johnson?
I was going to say Michael Johnson. I didn't want to be that guy, but yeah, I think
Michael
Johnson.
DJ was
I
on
disagree.
the right.
Sorry, I've been paying attention. Michael Johnson? No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I wasn't... Whilst I was like, oh, God, DJ's lost. It's Henry Cejudo. I rated Cejudo. I still rate Cejudo. Like, it wasn't that much of a shock. It was like, oh God, he's lost, but that's about it. I didn't really think too deep into it.
I think it's hard to say it wasn't that much of a shock given how the first fight went between those two.
Yeah. No, like
I think Cejudo looked really good going into it. I remember at the time I was really riding Cejudo.
I was on the same boat as Corley. I thought Cejudo was looking really good, but I was still like, he lost a decision to Benavidez, and then he looked like Conor McGregor against Wilson Hayes. Like, I was still like, he looks good. He's going to do better than the first fight, but Demetrius is still going to, like, I didn't see anyone ever beating DJ whilst he was champ.
No, never.
I think for me, it's the lowest of Paul Hughes. I do think it is the least surprising given Cejudo and his credibility. Is it maybe above Cruz? I don't know. It's not above Grasso.
I would have said,
we'll never know.
I think the thing that keeps it a bit lower than the others is that it was a close fight, right? All of the others are decisive.
Yeah, and like there are still people that will argue that the DJ won. You know, like it over time, it hasn't got less divisive. I don't think.
True.
So yeah, I think that is probably what's up. Like as much as I think, obviously DJ had a much more dominant run as champion compared to Cruz.
It was a historic championship reign.
Despite what Jake seems to remember about that fight, Cody Garbrandt styled on Dominic Cruz throughout that fight. Like it was wild and took him down like whenever he wanted. Out footwork. It was mental.
Look, it's an impressive win, but people who say it's the greatest title win in history don't know what they're talking about and haven't watched the fight. Yes, he had really good moments, but at the same time, he lost 2 rounds, from what I remember. I don't know. It's been a while. I could be talking.
If that Cody was still fighting now, in fact, no, because the TJ fights really took the toll, didn't they, on him? Be real.
Yeah.
But that Cody Garbrandt on that night would beat any bantamweight now. Any bantamweight.
I'm not sure I agree.
I was going to say Jake's frozen in shock. Well, I'm actually going to leave you on that bombshell, boys, because Gotham needs me. Like, there's not much hell is upon me, you know. But I'm still saying Michael Johnson, but I'm going, so you feel free to put that in Paul Hughes.
Fair enough.
I would put, personally, right? Personally, I would put that above Edgar, below Strickland. But at the same time, it's Mighty Mouse. He was the champion with the most title defenses of all time. Like, anyone beating him was going to be a shock, even if I honestly really did rate Cejudo coming into that. But I don't know. If I'm beaten in a democratic vote, then so be it. But I would say below Strickland, above Edgar.
I think purely because of what Steve said about the decision being close is what is the reason it's bottom of all of them. Like, because when you read it of Henry Cejudo defeats Demetrius Johnson, that is like, that alone you would think is more of an upset than I think the fact that, and also I think part of it is the characters that they are, like when it happened and DJ just being like, cool, all right, congratulations to Henry Cejudo and stuff like that, and Henry Cejudo just like, there was I guess like a tiny little bit of build up and stuff like that, but it just felt very much like, oh, DJ lost, all right, on to the next kind of thing.
Yeah, and which is crazy because like it's a historic championship reign.
Yeah.
They'd already beaten Cejudo, so it has all of the makings of like something that should be high. But looking at the others, there's nothing there I would put it ahead of for whatever reason, and it's hard to explain. There's nothing there I would really put it ahead of. Maybe Garbrandt, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only argument is the Cody one, but I would say because of the performance that Cody had against Cruz, that it's literally like Steve said, the fact it's Demetrius Johnson losing his title should mean it's above that because it was an incredible title run that came to an end. But it's just the way it ended was like, I guess that's it. He wasn't finished or anything like that. He wasn't dominated. So I think that's the point.
Yeah, I mean, you make good points. You make good points. I disagree, but I'm willing to put it in Paul Hughes. Just
I think Paul Hughes is
it hurts me. It hurts me. All right. I love DJ. His title reign is so underappreciated. But look, if it's the democratic will of the people, who am I to be concerned protesting?
It was a split decision.
Yeah.
Looking at the other ones there, that hurts it.
And then the last round, I remember being like so close as well. Like, so yeah, for sure.
So
Edgar Penn was a split decision as well. If you want to take that into account.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Just throwing that out there. That's all.
What were the odds? Let's find the odds for Cejudo quickly. Fill some time.
You know what? I put that I did a video on title fight upsets like 3.5 years ago. I put that in there. Why are you
not leading this then?
I wasn't asked. Kyle just said I'm doing a tier list, and I was like, yes, cheers. I did a video on it a couple of years ago. And I don't think Cejudo was actually as big of an underdog as you think.
Plus 380, which is roughly half that Frankie Edgar was.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Frankie Edgar was around 600.
Okay.
Over 600.
He was higher than
Strickland.
There you go.
Crazy that this is the one we had the most debate on, but I think Paul Hughes is what we're leaning on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Where on Paul Hughes are we going? Above Cody?
I would say above Cody.
Kyle above Cody?
I think to the right of Cody.
To the right of
Steve,
Cody.
You're the tiebreaker.
I am the tiebreaker. I, unlike Jake, have very fond memories of the performance that Cody had against Dominic Cruz. So I'm going to put him slightly below.
Steve, you're a bastard, and I never liked you. Okay, next one.
Okay. Who's taking this one?
I am gonna go for I think the biggest hitter that we have left, I am gonna put GSP versus Matt Serra at the very top.
Yep.
The very, very top.
Yep.
Because even though people look back at Matt Serra as, you know, a fan favorite and a Hall of Famer in his own right, he came off the Ultimate Fighter. Like, he won a title shot from the Ultimate Fighter, knocked out one of, if not the best ever. And even though Juliana Pena beating Amanda Nunes at that point in their careers was crazy, Juliana Pena was like a legitimate top contender who had some good wins, who she hadn't fought Nunes before, so that was still an interesting argument. No one expected her to win like that, but I think that Matt Serra beating GSP, it would take John Jones getting knocked out, I think, in order to beat GSP's loss.
Like John Jones getting knocked out by Parker Porter. Like,
that's harsh on Matt Serra. Or is it harsh on Parker? I'll let you decide.
I think that's harsh on Parker Porter. No, you know, I was gonna object, and I was gonna use the argument that GSP, while he was really widely revered at that time, hadn't built the legacy that Nunes had.
What was his first title defense?
Yeah, that was his first title defense of his first reign. So there's that argument, but at the same time, Colin makes a very good point. Matt Serra won a title shot on the comeback season of The Ultimate Fighter with a split decision that was a robbery against Chris Lytle, and then knocked out George St. Pierre. You know, that's
so, like,
fucking...
to put this in modern day context for the comeback of the Ultimate Fighter, is Kurt Holloway winning the title fight now?
Yeah, Kurt Holloway wins a title shot off of the Ultimate Fighter and knocks out
Kurt Holloway stops Islam Makhachev in the first round.
Yeah,
like that is the world.
That's about right as well, because Islam is at the start of his title reign right now.
I mean, admittedly, tough back then compared to tough now, I would say, you know, you could have people from tough go in and be top like ranked contenders now. You wouldn't see Kurt Holloway go in and suddenly be a top 10 lightweight. Like, that would be insane to even imagine. Like, I love Brad Katona, but like let's chill out, right? But like, I just think you make a good point about GSP's title defenses and the fact that he was still, like, you know, beating Serra to win the belt back is really when the era of GSP starts, right? But I just still think it's helped by hindsight as well, obviously, of course. Then GSP and Nunes were at such different points in their careers when it happened. So GSP had all this time to bounce back and stuff like that and put it in the past, whereas Nunes, I mean, actually, I say that. There isn't really a better way to bounce back than that second Nunes-Pena fight. So that's a good argument for it being a big upset as well. I just think the Nunes one was like a bigger high-profile thing at the time. You know, that's what I said about John Jones. If we had a guy like GSP right now, a dominant champion like GSP, like it's so different. But a guy coming off of the Ultimate Fighter and knocking out the welterweight champion is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. I think people do forget that part sometimes. I forgot it. I just really wasn't considering it. Yeah,
I think it's 1 and 1B.
I'm gonna put it above Nunes and Pena. I would say that is the toppest of top shit.
Yeah, I agree. It's 1 and 1B really between those two.
Yeah,
They're
really
both
close.
real, you know, 99 times out of 100. The rematch is what happens in the first fight.
And again, this is difficult because they're such different fighters. But the way that Serra won, catching him with an overhand and dropping him and finishing him like that, whereas don't get me wrong, I love Amanda Nunes, but a big reason why she lost that fight was Amanda Nunes. Like, Juliana Pena had a great performance, but like, she got hit about 50 times and then got submitted without the hooks. Like,
yeah, no, she was injured. She was gassed. She just wasn't herself in that fight. And I know we can look back on that with hindsight and realize that, but even in the moment, I think a lot of people realized maybe Nunes wasn't herself. As big of an upset as it was, and still is. But no, I would say GSP entering his prime, getting knocked out by a guy who didn't cut it in the UFC and won the Ultimate Fighter is probably the greatest upset of all time. I'm so sorry. I was gonna try to tell you that it wasn't. It's always.
I mean, it is really close. I think between that and
Nunes. There's those two, and then there's a gap.
Yeah.
Which apparently there isn't on the tier list since we put Holly Holm in the same.
I think if we had more tiers, I think there would be those two in their own separate category, right? Like the Holly Holm Rousey one is big, but it's not on that kind of level.
To be fair, we do have more tiers. There are two we haven't used.
That's very true, but that's because if we were doing like 30 title fights and they were randomized, where we've got Jamal Hill, Glover Teixeira in there, then we'd be using these other categories and stuff. But
that could just be a little time filler 1 week. Like I don't know, like the last 30 random title fights based on how entertaining they were, and you've got like dog shit. Decent.
Yeah, we're going from Carlos Esparza versus Rose Namajunas to Jiri Prochazka and Glover Teixeira.
Yeah,
that's a big jump.
That's a very big jump.
That could be a good one.
Okay, what's next? Which one?
Jake's pick.
Just 3 left. Ignore Sean Strickland.
I'm gonna leave Leon. I feel like Steve is gonna take Leon, so I'm gonna. I don't know. I have a feeling.
Maybe I can.
Yeah, you picked him as your first guy in the draft because Cawley bottled it.
Because he's the world champion.
Yeah, well. Dillashaw Barrow or Namajunas Jędrzejczyk. I'm gonna say Dillashaw Barrow, and I'm gonna say either top of emergency podcast or bottom of top shit. Not sure.
It's an interesting
one.
one.
This one I feel like is the biggest. Like even though Frankie and BJ Penn was before it, that fight, that rivalry is so well known. But I think the TJ one is the biggest, like the difficult one because of hindsight. Because it's so easy to forget how high people were on Henan Barrow back then and how unheard of TJ was to the majority of fans. It's so difficult because their careers completely flipped after that one fight. And TJ took his place as one of the best fighters in the world, and Barrow, people just
fell off so hard. And people now look at it.
Lost to Nathaniel Wood.
that iconic fight in London.
Yeah, what was it? Fight Night Till versus Anderson. Oh yeah, that was such a good event, man.
Good times.
No, but I agree 100%. People look at it now and they see it more as TJ came out of the blue and beat the champion, and it was more so about how TJ wasn't known and came in and beat the champion. But Barrow was one of the top 3 pound for pound fighters in the world. A lot of people had him as the pound for pound number 1.
I was one of them.
He was on
John Jones who had problems.
Barrow he was on a 33 fight unbeaten streak or something. That's completely unheard of. And he was beating everyone so easily. He never had a close fight. I think it's and now I'm decided that it's top shit, but I don't know whether to go above or below home. What would you say?
I think slightly below, but mainly because of the profile and the way Home did it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. A fun fact, I already talked about being in the building for Cejudo and Demetrius Johnson. You see that poster behind me on the Garbrandt card. I should have been in the building for this one as well, but United Airlines had other plans. That is a story we should get into at some point. But yeah, I was collecting my bags and keeping up with that fight, but my flight was cancelled. I should have been there in time.
It's a real shame.
It is. It was a real shame because I was a big Henan Barrow fan. So where
Henan Barrow is so cool, man. I fucking love Henan Barrow. I'm sorry, I loved Henan Barao in his prime. Once he started losing to like, you know, Nathaniel Wood at Fight Night, Till versus Anderson, I think that's when I stepped off.
It's funny you mentioned he had like 33 wins in a row. It's not quite the case, but it's pretty close. And he's only had 34 wins in his entire career.
Okay. How many wins has he had since the TJ fight? I'm going to say 2.
You're correct.
Okay. Mitch Gagnon and Philippe Nova.
I knew that. You didn't give me the chance to say it. That's all. So what? He was on a 32 fight unbeaten streak? No, 33 because there's a no contest in there. So 33 fight unbeaten streak. That's pretty fucking impressive. You have to give him that.
34 with the no contest.
34 with a no. But if he only has 34 wins in his career, how does that work?
He has 35.
Steve, you've lied to me.
This says he has 36.
Tapology says 34 and 9.
Wikipedia has 36. It might be some of his earlier fights.
Are you adding to the
because a lot of that one streak was.
You're forgetting about the trilogy with Nathaniel Wood. That happened at every installment of UFC London that didn't happen. I agree with you guys. I think below Rousey and Holm, but still in the top tier because he was regarded as the pound for pound number one. And unlike the Bisping Rockhold, which was a great shot that Rockhold was criticized for heavily, I don't think Henan Barao did anything massively wrong in that fight. He just got pieced up by TJ the whole time.
He got beat from pillar to post for 5 rounds and then got finished. Whereas, is there an argument maybe to be made that Bisping... Oh, no, I'm not even going to say it.
We're not having this conversation, Jake. We're never having... I was going to say we'll save it for another day. We're never having that conversation.
I'm just saying. Maybe just hands up. Maybe the lucky shot wouldn't have landed.
Maybe.
What we saying?
That's right. I'm going full heel. Oh fuck!
I think we all agree. Top tier, but not as good as Rousey and Holm.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 left.
I think
Which
you'll
one
find that there's 3. Steve, you forgot about Sean Strickland.
You forgot about the Sean Strickland Israel Adesanya rematch that we will attempt to predict by way of tier list. Which one are you going to pick? I mean, it really doesn't matter at this point, but...
I think let's save the main man for last and go for Rose next.
Okay.
It's a tricky one. Joanna was dominant coming into that fight. But again, like we said with the Cejudo, and it's crazy because Rose knocked her out cold, but you don't think of it the same way as you think of the other ones. For whatever reason.
I agree. I think because of how highly we regard Rose, not even like in the last couple of years, as soon as she stopped Joanna, it was like Rose Namajunas is incredible. And so it doesn't feel as big.
Yeah.
But I think in retrospect, when you look at Rose's record up to that point, it feels that big.
Right, it's like because Rose is like an elite level fighter. You look at the guys on this list: Matt Serra, Juliana Pena, Holly Holm, Bisping, Strickland, Grasso. Other than TJ and maybe Edgar, Rose is a level above because of what she's done since that fight.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards emergency podcast, but I don't know where.
I think Paul Hughes.
Oh, really?
I think Paul Hughes. Like you said, like if you're saying it's an emergency podcast, you're saying it's bigger upset than Grasso and Valentina.
I think it is.
I don't think it is.
I think it is purely because of the point Jake made about the Tyler Santos fight.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen anything from Joanna to make me think she's going to lose this fight, even though I was picking Rose with that fight.
I'm okay with bottom end of emergency podcast or top end of Paul Hughes.
I'm gonna just look real quickly at Rose's run to that point.
Yeah, I can't.
The first Joanna fight.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
She beat, arriving in the UFC, she had that loss to Carla Esparza, of course. She beat Angela Hill, Paige Van Zandt, Tisha Torres, lost to Kovalkiewicz, beat Michelle Waterson, and then knocked out Joanna. So only off of one win against Michelle Waterson.
You make a good argument.
Split decision loss to Kovalkiewicz before that. I think that alone, and the fact that Joanna didn't look like she was slowing down at all. Was that, who did Joanna fight before that? Was it Kovalkiewicz the fight before that? Was it Jessica Andrade? It was one of those, I think.
Let me double check. I think Andrade was after Kovalkiewicz.
Yeah.
Andrade.
And that was like one of her best performances.
Yeah.
Andrade. Like that was crazy dominant. And I thought that fight would be close. So I think that, like, it's really thin margins between her and Shevchenko, but the fact that me and you picked Shevchenko to lose her belt this year. Like, people were starting to have questions.
That's true.
And I don't think anyone would have predicted Joanna to lose her belt that year that she did. So I think it goes into emergency podcast, but I don't know whether I would put it over, say, a Strickland versus Izzy.
Rose was plus 500. That's a big upset.
Yeah.
Crazy in hindsight.
Yeah. But then we, like, looking at her record, you don't see that and go, like, plus 500 is crazy. Like, the run that Joanna was on, she looked so much better than everybody else that makes sense for the time, I guess. It would be really useful to have Jake here to get a third opinion.
It really would. If you're listening on audio, Jake has dropped out. Thunderstorm in Ireland.
Oh.
That's what he said. He said in the chat. His Wi-Fi dropped.
Oh, all right.
That's what he had said. It would be useful, but if Jake is not here, let's just move on. Where do we want to go?
Right, let me think about this quick. I'm convincing myself every time that I talk about it that it's a bigger upset than I first thought.
Yeah. See, it's like, when you think of it, it is a big upset, but it's not one you come to think of, like we said, purely because, you know, who Rose is now, not who Rose was then, and who Joanna was then, right? Like, if that fight happened, and obviously it wouldn't happen now because Joanna's retired, but, you know, if that fight with what we knew about Rose was happening now and the Joanna in that fight, the odds would be close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so strange. Like, I don't remember having that much doubt about Rose beating her in the rematch. It was almost like, oh, Rose is this good now. Like, it's just how it is. So I think
the rematch odds were even.
Damn. I might put this one below Bisping, so above Sean.
I don't think it's above Sean.
Is it not the equivalent of Rose going out there and outstriking Joanna for 4 rounds? But she didn't. She stopped her in the first, like Strickland nearly did.
Yeah, but it's Strickland.
I mean, I kind of agree with you, but like, we didn't really know the Thug Rose character.
I know. I'm with you.
It's difficult. At that point in time, don't get me wrong, she had the shaved head. She was choked. Like, some of those performances were violent. Like the Waterson one, that submission she got was brutal. But like, at that time, most people remembered Rose Namajunas as the person with braids that fought Carla Esparza. Like, it's really tough. I think that's where it sits. Is to the left or to the right of Strickland.
Okay. I'll pull it back up. Where do we want to go with this one?
We're gonna have to decide. I'll go with you and go to the right of Strickland, and if Jake returns, we will get his take on the matter and see if that moves it.
Okay.
Which means we are just left with Leon Rocky Edwards, which my argument for this one is it a upset? Like, is it deserving of being in the same group as these? I don't think so. So I think it's either Michael Johnson or it's overestimated. I think we've like some of these, we've used the method, like the way they won it, to determine it, right? We just spoke about it there with Sean winning 4 rounds versus Rose finishing Joanna in the first round. I think that puts it in Michael Johnson, the fact that he was losing the fight and pulled it off at the last minute. But I think that's the surprising part. Leon Edwards beating Kamaru Usman, I don't think is as surprising as
It's all on the way he did it. Being down, pulling off that kick in the moment he did makes it more special. So that bumps it up. But yeah, it's not in pure like numbers form. It's not the upset that the other ones were, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally
a lot of people were picking Edwards.
Yeah, it's literally the counterpoint. Bias, yeah, maybe a little bit.
And to the point where, on that UK bias, we probably did have an emergency podcast.
Yeah,
we probably did spend the whole podcast talking about it. But that's like a UK bias thing.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is it's like the counterpoint to the Cejudo DJ thing, where it was the way he won it and not the fact he won it. That's like completely the flip of that fight. Because if you had told me that Leon Edwards beat the whole reason we named this category Michael Johnson is because you go, oh, Michael Johnson won. All right, well, okay. Like when if I had been told Leon Edwards would have won, taking UK bias aside, I would have been like, damn, Kamaru Usman lost. He's been on a great run. That's crazy. But then you learn about the KO and you're like, damn. So I think if we had a bunch of other title fights, it would be right at the top of Michael Johnson or up there because the method was so surprising. But the outcome itself, I don't think you can put it into Paul Hughes.
I'm good with Michael.
What a sentence that is. I'm good with Michael Johnson.
No, it was just the fact that the category's named Paul Hughes, and I was racking my brain remembering why we called it Paul Hughes.
Oh yeah, I've had to do that a few times.
Yeah, that one takes a bit more thought than the others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm okay with Michael Johnson. So
cool. That's sorted.
I will throw that into Michael Johnson now.
Can you do a favor as well? Can you screenshot our results and we'll post that out on social media and explain that you have to listen to the podcast to understand what the categories mean?
Yeah, I will. I'll take the screenshot and fire it over.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
You can go on, what's the website called again? Is it just Tiermaker?
Tiermaker.com.
You can go on Tiermaker and search in biggest UFC title upsets, and you can do it yourself if you choose to. Just make sure to avoid the 2 Sean Stricklands. I don't know why you can't delete images, but hey. There's no way, and I accidentally uploaded it, and so it's there forever.
Sean Strickland over there. Wait, no, I can't take him off.
Oh no!
I can't take him off. No. Crap.
All right, but I mean, sure, we'll just always have Sean Strickland in there twice. Why not? That photo of Sean Strickland is hilarious anyway.
It's
so
a great picture. That picture's gonna be like an iconic picture.
It really is. Crazy. I think that just about does it. We never got Jake back, but I'm sure we will find out his opinions at some point on those last couple picks. Well, that just about wraps it. If you have made it this far and you're only listening to the audio, you are crazy. Check out the video so you know what we've been talking about, I guess. And yeah, we'll catch you for another emergency verbal money at some point. Is there any outcome this weekend that would, if Alexa Grasso knocks out Valentina Shevchenko, we will be back next Monday?
Will we?
If she submits her, no. If she TKOs Shevchenko like on the feet, Yeah.
I was going to
I
say,
think so.
if one of them pulls out and Aaron Blanchfield steps in on short notice and wins the title, I will be
Yeah.
back next week.
That'll do it. That'll do
No,
it.
we need to
All
be
right.
back. We need to make this regular again.
Yeah, it's just so difficult to get the timing.
Yes. But yeah, Noche UFC this weekend.
Yep. Yep. Our boy Paul back in action. Oh, emergency for
Yes.
Paul. We'll do that. We'll do that. We'll see you
If
next
Paul-
week for emergency
Paul
Paul.
Rosas Jr. Gets that win back after his last fight, then we will be back.
Yeah, absolutely.